everybody, I'm Matt Hill. I'm here at the AADE Symposium exhibition in Oklahoma City, and very fortunate. I get to meet incredible people every time I come to an oil and gas event, which is often at FOMO. Introduce yourself.
Gregory Wrightstone. I'm a geologist. I'm executive director for the CO2 Coalition, and I'm also accepted as an expert reviewer for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
Well, your keynotes, we had him, of course, as our keynote, and we're very honored and blessed by that. 30,000 foot view. Just give the audience here just a quick rundown of what you said to us.
Well, we talk a lot about how there is no climate crisis, and that's a fact.
That's a fact.
But we've moved beyond that. And I have, with my new book, A Very Convenient Warming, I've gone beyond there is no climate crisis to, in fact, Earth's ecosystems and humanity are prospering from the modest warming we've seen combined with more carbon dioxide. We're seeing it with ecosystems are thriving, forests are expanding, deserts are shrinking, food production is exploding, fires are declining. All the things that you've been told of all these catastrophes related to our sins of emission, of CO2 emissions, are just the facts, the science, and the data just don't support that.
The facts and the science support what?
Oh, blossoming of the earth.
Yeah.
A thriving of Earth's ecosystems and the human conditions improving. And that, I use the word celebrate a lot. We should celebrate what's actually happening. Don't listen to these merchants of doom. Look at the science, the facts, and the data to find out the truth.
We should all, and I think our kid, I'm okay, right? Like, I grew up in a time where everything was pretty happy. And I remember those days. So, as a human being on Earth, like, I look around, I feel I'm thriving. Yep. So, but I look around and I see that we're thriving, as you say, and I feel that way. Like, I don't think there's ever been a better time on the planet to be a human being. Everything we've ever met, when you're a kid growing up, you have Star Wars and Star Trek, and we're seeing all these things that we never dreamed would be possible come to life. And so I get up and I'm excited every day for, our human species and what we're able to accomplish. But I do feel, as you say, the narrative out there is not that way. And our kids are suffering from the climate catastrophizing and their worry about something that's not even true.
Yeah, it's terrible. And at the CO2 Coalition, we're actually doing something about that by launching this education initiative. We've just launched a new website that's co2learningcenter.com. We're providing really fascinating books, comic books that are done manga style, and videos. And we've also got lesson plans available for, it's predominantly the homeschool communities really grasp onto it.
For now. Yeah. I think there'll be some brave, maybe cities or, rural areas that'll take this on and be like, hey, here's another, because that's just it. Education should be about learning a little bit about everything. You can debate, you can have conversations. It shouldn't be shoved down people's throat. Here's the only way to think, which is the narrative right now. It feels like it's against us. Why?
Well, because that's all we hear. The only thing we hear on the media is doom and gloom, man-made driven catastrophe. Oh, look, this fire in California or Maui is because of climate change. They don't tell you the backstory behind it, that these are natural events and that fires are actually in decline, not increase. And so we're challenged because we can't get our story out there. We're silenced, we being scientists promoting climate
realism. That's real science, right? I mean, there's no consensus. If you're a real scientist, you're constantly trying to find more answers, right? To me, there's never a, this is it. This is where we stop learning. This is it. This is our consensus, and now this is a fact, and we don't move past that ever. Oh, science is done.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
No, as a scientist, I get angered by what I see. I get angered by the misinformation and disinformation that's rampant. And you just saw in a presentation we just gave here as the keynote address, I documented how they're lying to you about fires, how they're lying to you about extinction events, and how they're lying to you about drought and deserts expanding. So we need to get the science. And that's what I'm proud of that with the CO2 Coalition leading this group of experts.
I'm proud of those scientists. Whether you want to consider yourself an expert or not, you're still a scientist to me if you're out there gathering data and trying to learn something about our world, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm proud of just that aspect of like, hey, this is something I'm seeing differently and willing to put myself out there to ask other scientists' opinions on, right? Mm-hmm. So do you think the other scientists are being driven by something else? Is it money? Is it research money?
That's a good question. What is driving these people? In some cases, they really believe that there is a climate crisis. We need to do something about it. There are those. There are others.
They're not bad people. They're just misinformed. Right,
and the others are. If we look at the funding element, we know that scientists in the university section, they're driven by funding, and if you don't go along with what I call the company line on climate change, you're not going to get your funding. I mean, if you say there is no climate crisis and here's why, your funding disappears. We've seen scientists like Dr. Peter Ridd in Australia that got fired because he told the truth about the Great Barrier Reef, or Susan Crockford that lost her position because she told the truth about the polar bears. We see this, it's pretty well documented. We've had scientists leaving academia because they wouldn't go along with it. And those people, there are a few of those around, truly brave individuals.
Morals and ethics matter to those guys. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to take this check and go write your paper the way you want it to be written just so you have the outcome you want to hear.
In fact, we just hired a PhD in chemical engineering that was working for carbon capture company. Mm-hmm. He wrote papers. He traveled to conferences and gave seminars on carbon capture. He was getting paid a good amount of money and learned from some of our work what the truth was about carbon dioxide, and he learned he was on the wrong side. I gave him, he walked away, and I put him up. He's now working for us. So he went from CO2 capture to the CO2 Coalition.
Yeah.
And now he's working to promote the benefits of carbon dioxide, not carbon capture.
Can we really even capture enough carbon to make a difference?
No, the effect of this is incredibly small.
So would it even hurt? Would it hurt him to go and capture a bunch of carbon to make some money on the side?
Well, yeah, it would hurt. It would hurt us as taxpayers.
Right, I know.
Because they're going to be talking about, they're talking about pumping this carbon that they capture down wells. I'll contend the only thing going down those wells will be our tax dollars.
Yeah, and again, there's, oil and gas. We love our resources, and so anytime anybody says we're hurting the environment, if we know that, we're probably thinking, well, that's a cost that we want to capture back anyway. If you're wasting anything at all, if you're wasting something environmentally, that it's also wasting it economically. So we're working very hard in the background anyway to make sure that doesn't happen. Any kind of environmental cost is also a financial cost that we don't want it to happen.
Yeah,
so
they need to hire. They need to hide the information about the true cost, the true economics of turbines. Don't call them farms. They're not wind farms. Yeah. They're industrial scale facilities. And the same with solar. They're not solar farms. They're industrial scale solar facilities.
Yeah. All energy has a cost. And I think everybody in the energy sector, and especially oil and gas, we're fine with all forms of energy, but just call it energy addition or alternate energy. That's fine. Just don't call it green energy. Don't call it, alternate energy.
I get a little bit irritated when people say I want an all of the above policy. We should use all of the above that makes economic sense.
There you go.
All right, without the subsidies, without the proposals and the tax breaks. Get rid of that. And if it can compete on its own, if wind and solar can compete with coal, well then have at it. But it can't. Not by a long shot. Not when you look at the
molecules just don't add up.
Exactly, and they're a blight on the landscape. If you look at what happened in Pennsylvania just last year, 1.8 million acres controlled by the state game lands. They voted unanimously, the State Game Commission, to ban permanently any wind projects on the state game lands, and these are on really attractive mountaintop ridges where the wind is really attractive for them, and they said it's completely opposite of what our stated mission is, and that's to protect the species,
Yep.
protect the animals, and protect it for the sportsmen that hunt on those properties.
Yeah, not going to be the same beautiful landscape when I go out there and watch that big turbine. And again, we got space in Oklahoma. We put a lot of them up. A lot of the landowners now go, these are abandoned now. No one's coming by to take them off our hands. And what do I do with them? Like, no one knows. We didn't, talk about that at all.
Yeah, well, that same Pennsylvania Game Commission, I listened to their committee hearing, and these people, there were 18, voted unanimously. Some of these people were just vitriolic in their hatred for the wind turbines because they live near them, and they've ruined the beautiful vistas. Not only that, but there are a lot of problems living close to these.
Well, I mean, whatever purpose they have, we'll find a use for them, and who knows, in the future they might get more efficient and replace a lot more. But in the meantime, we have amazing natural gas, a great molecule. We all
and a lot of it.
So it's reliable, it's abundant, and affordable. And it takes a little straw on the ground to get it out. We have amazing technology, been working on a long time. And we know we'd like to burn more of it and make oil into more products. And I don't know, but you do. The next step is, some kind of nuclear fuel.
Nuclear is...
it's a possibility.
Yeah, especially small modular SMRs, small modular reactors. That's, I think, the wave of the future. But, that's probably 30 years out. If you look at the permitting.
It's going to be longer.
Perhaps longer.
Yeah.
But
because I want a flux capacitor in my space car. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That's all I needed.
Yeah.
And this is cool. We had a speaker come to our API group, and for the first time in history that I've ever heard of, they shot lasers at a hydrogen molecule, and they put less energy in than they got out. They got more energy out of that hydrogen molecule than they put in. So now we have a new reaction that's never been, in history made, right? Getting more energy out than you put in. Now they've been able to repeat it, and then they're able to repeat it quicker. So they're going to have an engine out of this sometime. That's all it is putting energy in, getting energy out, quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. That's fascinating me. That's a flux capacitor in my future. That's 100 years.
You're going to have to cut this out because I don't agree. We'll talk about it offline.
That's
so cut
fine.
This out.
Disagree. I don't get mad.
No, the energy. What you're talking about is the energy that hit that was less than what came out. But what they didn't report was how much energy it took to create
build all the things,
to create that ray that went into it.
Okay.
It was
on
the order. It was on the order of hundreds more in terms of whatever the energy used.
I'm never getting my flux capacitor.
And no, you're not.
Someday.
I work with nuclear physicists, and the joke they tell me is that since the 1950s, fusion has always been 40 years in the future.
Okay.
And they say that's the physics community.
It's probably been since the pyramids. I think they made those pyramids. And did you know that we're closer to hanging out with Cleopatra than Cleopatra was to hang out the guys who built the pyramids?
Oh, really?
That's how far, in the past pyramids were. And those things were set up to be, some kind of energy machine that took us, back and forth. So who knows? This guy right here, you're a leader. Tell everybody about your book and how to get a hold of it.
Yeah, A Very Convenient Warming is a book I just published 2 weeks ago, and it follows my first book, which was Inconvenient Facts, which was a #1 bestseller over the last 6 years.
And it should be.
It's been adopted by a number of Candace Owens actually fell in love with my book.
Yeah.
And
so I'm one step away from meeting Candace.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my gosh! Hey, dream of mine.
Yeah.
She's on my bucket list of people to interview.
She's just as nice in person as she is.
With no doubt.
Just solid.
Yeah.
But this book is a very convenient warming, just published. It goes a step beyond there is no climate crisis to, again, what we started this interview was we talked about modest warming and more CO2 benefiting Earth's ecosystems and benefiting the human condition by improving it.
Who are some of the people, and say they don't believe me, say they don't believe you, who are some other people that, we all need to start following?
Well, there are Jordan Peterson's coming around a little bit, but I still need to have a talk with him. Candace is gone.
He's a philosopher,
yes.
So that's not fair of him to, you're forcing him into being a scientist, but you'll teach him. That's great. And by all means, we all follow him and love him and what he has to say, at least about how to be better men, right? A little bit more stoic, and get out there and be warriors.
And who to follow? There are other people out there. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but there are some people out there that are pretty well known that frustrate me because they start from the premise that there's a climate crisis that needs to be solved, but we're just doing it wrong. We're spending too much money. And we at the Coalition, we don't give an inch on that. We do not back down. We will not admit, because there just is no climate crisis that needs solved. So anything we do to solve a non-existent crisis is, if they say they want to spell trillions. No, they shouldn't spend pennies to solve a non-existent crisis.
And for those out there, because hey, I've promoted you on, and not just you, but the CO2 Coalition. Anytime somebody's like, "Oh, you're bought and paid for by oil and gas," and I'm like, "Okay, well, look at them, right?" And they're like, "Oh, they are too. Oh, you're studying." No, not even a little bit.
We've got more than 99.9% of our donors are individuals.
Yep.
Just like everybody watching this today, and we've had a tremendous response from across the country of support doing what we're doing, and what that does, that allows me. I was highly stressed. I didn't have enough people and staff to do what I really wanted to do. We're finally able to do this education initiative. We're doing, for example, last week a trip. I took myself and 3 others, including Dr. William Happer. We all traveled to Wyoming to try and save Wyoming from itself and this bizarre decarbonization plan of the governor.
That governor, though, he loves oil and gas, and he's appreciative of, I'm always impressed by the governor, at least. I don't know about anybody else up there. Probably a lot of people moved there from California. He's trying to fight on their policies, but...
No, he's pushing a decarbonization. He's pushing carbon capture. Oh, yes.
Come on. I was a big fan for a minute.
No, you better rethink that. Governor Gordon's... in fact, he was voted, the GOP in Wyoming had a no confidence vote for him.
I got to start following politics again. I've been following oil and gas and guys like you. Scientists and oil and gas guys are my favorite. Engineers.
No, we came out pretty hard and strong against Governor Gordon in Wyoming.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get back to following you then, and whatever you vote for, that's what I'm doing.
All right,
Gregory, God bless you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being our keynote. We'll all be behind you because we know that oil and gas is going to be needed for a long time. Everybody here is dedicated to bringing the poor, affordable and reliable energy. So if you're out there working on the politics and keeping, the government off of us, then we can go do our jobs.
Right. You're doing a valuable service.
We need to, make sure what we're doing is efficient and getting returns on profit back to the investors.
Absolutely. Keep at it, and God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Get the book. Oh, what's the website?
Well, the website is convenientwarming.com, or of course you could go to Amazon. It's easier, but they don't. If you want to pay Jeff Bezos his blood money, or buy it directly from convenientwarming.com.
He does fly in private jets that use natural gas and oil, so we don't hate the guy. A lot of trucks using oil and gas. Amazon's fine in our book.
Okay. All right.
And make sure you donate and follow CO2 Coalition as well. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. God bless.